Hey, what's up, everybody? And since I said I was going to be coming back to ESO, and I see that this little update right here has come out about them addressing proc sets and champion system with update 30 coming up, I wanted to take a look at this and make my own kind of thoughts on this. So, as we all know, proc sets have been an issue in PvP, so here we got Brian Wheeler saying the growing concerns over the proc set meta for the past few updates is not falling on deaf ears. We understand the frustration of feeling required to run these types of sets, fighting against them in PvP. These sets are seen as free sources of damage, healing, and survivability, all of which would come off with minimal trade-offs. We want these proc sets to mean something rather than just a de facto method of building a character without paying for it in some way. And everything he said there, I completely agree with. Like, proc sets were kind of in a point where you just slapped on 3 proc sets, you'd hit somebody and you'd have 40k health, and you'd be unkillable, and you'd just be murdering people without barely doing a thing. Like, you use one ability and suddenly you got 3 things going off on them, and then it's almost impossible to heal back up from that, and you're impossible to kill. So it was kind of ridiculous. No skill required almost at all. Now, with that stated, in update 30, we're making all item sets that deal damage or heal scale with player stats. You'll need to make a conscious build choice when looking at them, which item sets to include in your build, rather than simply equipping 3 proc sets for the aforementioned free damage. Damage sets will scale on spell or weapon damage, whichever is higher. Healing sets will scale on max magic or stamina, whichever is higher. Other sets that fall outside of that functionality will likely scale out with max health, as well as a handful of other unique ways. Full details about which sets scale with which stats will be displayed in the tooltips for your item sets. Now, this is great because this is exactly what was causing the issues, is that they didn't scale. They just did their flat amount of damage, and it didn't matter if you had 20k stamina or if you had 50k stamina, or if you had 10k health or if you had 50k health. So it was kind of ridiculous that you could have 50k health and still be hitting as hard as somebody with 10k health that was spec'd fully for damage. Now, he also says the effects we expect from this will be an overall buff in PvE territory as many players build for maximum efficiency regarding their stats. In PvP, we expect lower efficiency from item sets procs, as builds for PvP typically tend to focus on several stats that will take away from the potential to deep dive into specializing in the specific stats. So this means if you opt to run a full build of proc sets, you'll be trading off large sources of stats for your build, and you'll be limited to gaining them from passives, enchants, consumables, significantly limiting your ability to build as you could before. It's possible to get to the values of proc sets pre-U30 if you specialize your stats for it, as well as getting higher values than before if you go all into building around their scaling. But we believe this will lead to a healthier balance of damage and healing versus the free procs you get now. Which, this all sounds great, because if you completely spec out to be a glass cannon, you should be hitting hard, but you also shouldn't be able to take that much damage. Where before it was everyone was building complete tank and hitting as if they were a glass cannon, but they couldn't get bursted down either. It was a really bad spot because you were just getting so many sources of free healing, free damage without doing anything. And it was kind of ridiculous. So I'm really excited to see where this goes, how they implement, because this all relies on how they implement it. It sounds like the way that they worded it here, that it's going to be a good change for both PvP and PvE. I don't see a downfall here for PvE because it sounds like it's going to be giving more damage to PvE builds. But it sounds like in PvP that they might actually be somewhat balanced. Now, this all is going to rely on how they have the scaling set up for it. So we'll ultimately have to wait and see when they release the PTS for this. And I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone else puts out about this, because I want to know how this is going to work out. And now we have the champion system coming up, which just recently, as everyone knows, just got revamped. And, he's talking about we introduced the revamped champion system. and indicated we would build upon it in the future. With update 30, we are continuing our dedication to this system by adding several new slotted stars for healing and support focused builds. We are also keenly aware of the passive power the system added in initial offering and the concerns you all have about getting optimal builds as soon as possible. To address these concerns, we are reducing the number of stages on passive stars on Warfare and Fitness Constellation by 2 more stages to a maximum of 2 stages per passive star. This will greatly lower the number of points required to get to a more optimal build in both of those constellations, while also taking some of the power out of the high-end experience. We've also added a new and final sub-constellation. Now hold on, I want to go back and talk about this reducing the maximum of these passives by 2 stages per star, a passive star. And that sounds good, because as it stands right now, it requires so many champion points to plug into all these passives to be able to get them. But what I'm worried about is if, and I don't know if I'm understanding this right, does this mean, like, say you go from a 10% maximum bonus from one passive to a 4% maximum bonus? Because usually these passives are going off of 2% increases per stage, so if it's doing that, then that's kind of pointless, because I could have just not have put the points into that and put them somewhere else already. But I'm hoping that it's going to be like, now instead of getting like 2% per point, you get like 5% or something, I don't know. But I feel like that would be a better change, because it would let you, it'd be good for lower CPs. I don't think people that are almost max CP, which I don't think there's anyone out there that's almost max CP at this point, really gain anything from that. And this will greatly lower the number of points required to get to a more optimal build in both of those constellations, while taking some power out of high-end experiences, which is what's making me believe that right there is kind of making me believe that they're just reducing how many points you can put into it, and the amount that you gain from each set of 10 that you put into it, or whatever it is for each point, is each passive, is also staying the same. So now it's just going to be, you can only get a maximum of 4% out of these passives, which I don't think is a good change. But I'm just gonna have to wait and see. Now, we've also added new and final sub-constellation. Each tree can have up to 3. In the Warfare tree, focusing on healing, offering new slottable stars to support the healing playstyle, and added a few old favorites from the original champion system, focused on heavy and light attack damage to offer some core damage bonuses for players using their basic attacks. Now, this will be interesting to see. I mean, in PvP, I really hate heavy attack builds, but for those of you that like them, that's going to be a good addition for you guys. And also, if you do like a werewolf build where a lot of your damage is coming from your basic attacks, that's going to be a good change too in PvE and PvP, sadly. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, because I actually want to know. And since they just redid the whole champion system, it's going to take a bit of tweaking for them to get it all right. And I'm hoping with some tweaks that it's going to come out to be a good change. Now, and as always, you can expect bug fixes and updates to existing item sets that you can read about in PTS patch notes, along with many adjustments to AE abilities for better server performance. I think they meant AoE abilities. We hope you enjoy your time on the PTS and look forward to reading your feedback for update 30 next week. Now, I can't wait to see this stuff coming live on PTS, because I really want to see exactly what they're doing. So, and I hope you guys are also looking forward to this too, because I really want to see this game come into the best state it's been in, between server performance, which obviously is still quite a big issue, and sets balancing. But it seems like they're trying to address at least the sets balancing with the proc sets that we see here. So let's hope for the best, and I hope you guys like this video, and I hope you guys stay tuned for upcoming videos. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.